It is a bright and beautiful Monday afternoon. Not really here in Southern California. It's pouring, man. It's been raining like crazy. So it's gloomy, it's dark, it's annoying. It's the kind of day where you just want to kind of crawl up into your bed and sleep, right? But we're not going to do that. We're going to get your week going by answering some questions and dealing with some apologetics and talking about the Bible and reconnecting with you guys. It is what it is. Hopefully you've had an eventful morning. I mean, for some of you guys it's 3 p.m. Some of you guys it's 2 p.m. Here on the right coast. I mean the West Coast. It is 12:04 p.m. And you might be saying, "Hey, why is Arthur not on at 2 p.m.?" Various reasons, as some of you guys know. Recently had our fourth child, and so my schedule's kind of in flux. It will be fluctuating. Just keep up with the channel. This is partly why you should have the bell notification on, so that you get a notification as to when I go live. I will try to post it. Some of the interview stuff is up in the air, so we have a guest on this Friday at 5 p.m. West Coast time. I'm going to put that up as soon as possible. And drop in your questions. Make sure you hit the like button because that helps. Excuse me. And yeah, I will answer some of the questions that have come in. So we have a guy coming on named Wesley Huff. We've been talking about some really cool stuff this upcoming week. If you've been paying attention to the channel, you've probably seen some of the thumbnails change. Trying to make the thumbnails sharper and better. Even the old videos. I mean, I've gone back and changed the number of thumbnails on old videos. I'll talk about my weekend. We had a very eventful weekend. We'll speak about that a little bit. And then even the podcast thumbnails were changing. We're changing a lot of stuff. We're going to have some fun, phenomenal guests on starting this week. And we're booking those. So, yeah. Tell me how you are. At least it's better than the Kansas City weather. Snow and rain here in Arizona. Wow. That's interesting. Did you knit that yourself? No, I did not. It was bought like this. That's Liverpool 1-4-0 yesterday. Good day. Was looking to see if you had any streams. So happy to make it. I'm going to try to hopefully, ideally try to get all my streams sorted out by Monday and then schedule them so that you know exactly when I'm going to be streaming during the week. Again, trying to be really intentional about my schedule and then work around all that stuff. This sweater is getting a lot of attention, seems like. That sweater has an impressive weave. Is it wool? No, it's like it's like most things that you see on the internet. It's fake. I don't even know what it's made of. I don't think it's wool. My wife buys me the clothing and she tells me I gotta wear this stuff. Don't ask me anything. Peter, what's up? Do you know when Ruslan will put his video with you on YouTube? So let's talk about my weekend. My son had a tournament in San Diego, went down. I'd spoken to Ruslan and we hung out almost all weekend. So Friday, Saturday, we were together. My son's games got canceled on Sunday because of rain. They won their game on Saturday, but I was able to sit down and record, I think, two different, we talked so much, I don't know. Yeah, but actually recording, we did two different recordings with Ruslan answering a bunch of different questions. So I think what's going to happen is that those things are going to be released this week. So maybe today, I don't know. Also, I think the full-length conversations. One of them's already on Patreon on his Patreon because we went live on his Patreon answering a bunch of those questions. Another one is just, I think, either the whole thing is going to be released on Patreon, and then some of them are going to be like chopped up and released. So that's on Ruslan. I mean, it's his channel. He's going to run it. But very, very good conversation, fun conversations. We talked about some very important things, so make sure you check that out. Appreciate that, Pete. Shalom to you too. Hey, what's up, David? How you doing? We got 9 people in there, guys. Share it out. Wife did well. Hey, man, because I married a good woman. That's why. It's just the reality of it. Jerome's in the house. What's up, Jerome? So the one I think we did on Saturday, not I think, for sure, the one we did on Saturday, we went live on Patreon, on his Patreon. And so that's up there. Gonna open up the lines for anybody who wants to call in. That's via Discord. Make sure you join our Discord community because it's the best around. Can I get an amen? Hallelujah. Tell me, guys, if you think there is no Discord community like our Discord community, drop a 1 in the comment section, brother. It was like Hulk Hogan stuff. And then let me know what's been going on in the world, because I have actually not been paying any attention to the world. I've barely watched or read anything that's of any importance. I really have no idea what's going on, what has been happening in the internet world as well, considering, right? Like, you know, we're at a point, I guess, place right now in our lives where we just don't care. Like, we have a little baby that's super, super, super cute, like ridiculously cute. And so we get to hold her and rock her and feed her and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't care what's happening in the rest of the world right now, because I care about the great gift that God has placed into our hands. Saperalda says, Macho Man Randy Savage is greater than Hulk Hogan. Ooh, yeah! I agree. Oncast Gaming, check out that YouTube channel. It's a specific kind of gaming. It's a specific kind of game that has been played. If you guys are interested in it, you know, he posts some stuff up there. In your humble opinion, I do have humble opinions and prediction, will soccer practice be canceled today? I think so. We got to wait till like 1 something for them to tell us that. I don't know why I'm being asked that question, but Mason, how you doing? Reading today, Luther refute the scholastics in his Bondage of the Will on, is that condignity and congruity merit. Are you familiar with this and help us understand? I am not. At least not those terminologies. But I can't give you anything there. So defending justification by faith alone. I mean, we can speak about that as to why we would need to be justified in that sense. I mean, we can pull it up. So let me see. Let me actually. I don't have my Bible software up and running, but let's get it up and open. Let's get the machine rolling here. Okay. Let's see if we have Luther Bondage of the Will. That's not where that's supposed to go. Books. I did order Gary Habermas's book. Okay, so I got a book here that's a discourse on free will, and it's got Erasmus, Martin Luther. Is that the one you're looking at? Let me see. Old Testament and the Truth. Part 1, Erasmus. Part 2, The Bondage of the Will. Correct. Okay, this is what you're talking about. Can you tell me where we're supposed to be looking at this? And we'll go and read it, actually. I don't. You can't give me a page number. I mean, you kind of told me. Let me see. Condignity and congruity. Let me see. Section 149. Okay, let's see. Mine is separated a bit differently than what you have in front of you. Is there maybe like a title or a subtitle or something like that? Let me know those things. Do you know which chapter it's in? Mine's separated by chapters, okay? It's like 2 parts and a bunch of chapters. So part 1 is Erasmus, the free will. There's 7 chapters there, and then there's part 2 where it's Luther, and there are 6 chapters there. Let me know that. So Alistair Beck said old ladies should go to their grandchildren's transvestite weddings and bring a gift in order to not be seen as judgmental, but only after speaking against the sin first, of course. I don't have context there to talk about that. So, can't say anything. Third part, mine just has 2 parts. Here, let me try to post this up for you and see if you. Okay. Is this what we're looking at? Do you hold to a post-millennial or amillennial eschatological view? I kind of, so I've leaned toward post-mill. I kind of recently have been fluctuating between the two. Come on in, guys, as people are joining us. Good afternoon. It is afternoon here on the West Coast. Hit that like button. We are just having conversations. And what's up? What's up? What's up? Top of the league, baby. Top of the league. Oh, I gotta add like a Liverpool chant into my
This is a sickness
that stuff.
of the highest order.
Sorry, Mason. I wish I could be more help to you. Would have. I mean, it's a great learning opportunity for me as well, right? So that's why I like some of this stuff that you guys bring my way. I like that. I got to get a good audio of that. Totally. I'll find a better audio of that. That's a good idea. Your sweater is dope, Arthur. I want one. This is hilarious. Like, this should be my merch. So many comments have come in about my sweater. I don't get paid for this. I'm not getting paid for promoting this sweater that I'm wearing. Thank you. I appreciate it. I should have that in my merch section. And like sneakily write Apologia Center is the best, like on the collar or something. There's a video on YouTube called 90 Seconds of Jurgen Klopp's Fist Pump Celebrations. Gotta get a clean audio of it. These are all like fan. If you guys have funny like sound bites, I'd like talk to me, send it to me, email it to me. You look like a warrior priest. Ooh. It is not rough and it's not itchy. It's very soft. It just looks medieval. It looks like, it looks like I'm wearing chainmail. But I'm not. It's not heavy. It's not even very thick. It's very, very thin. It's comfortable and, it stretches. They were real people, warrior priests. So I know that. The Templar monks are warrior priests. They're monks. Some of y'all have not hit that like button. Come on now, guys. We're 11 people in here. Ooh, Righteous Through Christ says, still hoping to see the Apologia Center logo on a beanie. So we're keeping the logo. Like we're gonna make some changes. One of them is gonna be on YouTube. You're not gonna see soon once we fixed it. You're not gonna see the Apologia Center just logo. You're gonna see my face with the logo somehow worked into it. But generally, yes, that logo. I'll put it on a beanie. I didn't think people would want that. I can put that on a beanie. No, it does look like chain armor. Question above. Where's the question? What about the scholastics, though, like Peter Lombard and those? Are you familiar with their thought and significance of the Reformation's refutation of their doctrine on justification? No, not specifically like that. That has not been a focus of my studies. Like I haven't done much studying on Reformation stuff. You know, I have a degree in philosophy, so a lot of my studies have been in philosophy and reading philosophers. And then my other degree is in biblical studies, so hermeneutical questions of sorts. So no, Mason. I like speaking to my friends who know those things a lot better than I do. But I can't say, like, obviously I've read. I was in seminary, so I had to read a number of the stuff that is significant to those things, or church history and stuff like that. But to give you a proper analysis of those things, I'm probably not the best guy for that. You might want to send in these things to, and maybe I'll have him on the channel. I hope to have him on the channel. I've reached out to him and he was really busy. But Gavin Ortland, one of my favorite YouTubers right now. You might want to check out Gavin's channel and see if he's done anything on that. And not write him some comments and questions and say, can you make a video on this subject? Gavin would be the guy. It would be great under body armor, to be honest. There was a poll. That's not true. You're lying. How was church yesterday? I didn't go to church yesterday. Have you taken the baby out yet? I didn't go to church yesterday. I arrived because my son's games got canceled. So I'll tell you this. The plan was I was going to be in San Diego from Friday to Sunday, and Sunday in between games, I was going to go to church with Ruslan. I was going to go to his church. But our game got canceled late Saturday night. And so I was like, I don't want to wait till Sunday and go home because my wife is with a newborn and 2 other kids. I had my son. So I hit the road at like 10 p.m. at night under the rain and got home about midnight, woke up in the morning. I was just tired and drained and stuff like that. So I didn't go to church yesterday. So I can't tell. It seemed like it was good from all my friends telling me about how church was. But yeah, I mean, again, ideally I would have been there on Sunday and gone to church, gone to a different church, and I think that would have been a fun experience, but didn't happen this time. Hopefully some other week. It might be next week. I don't know when they're going to reschedule the games for, but yeah. As a Protestant who's become Orthodox, I went from pre-mill to between post-mill and all-mill. Overall, I still laugh that I used to hold the rapture theology. As a Protestant who's gone from pre-mill into those areas, I still laugh that I used to hold those things too. So, hey, look at that. Mason, it's your first time here. Really? Well, more than welcome, man. Everybody, let's give a big round of applause to Mason. Mason, I didn't think this was your first time. For some reason, I thought that you'd been here before, but thanks for being here today. As I recall the history, the Knights Templars weren't priests. They were bankers who guarded finances on the pilgrimage route to the Holy Land. Maybe, unless orders developed from there. And so, like, I definitely, like, the Crusader monks were priests. Like, they were monks. They couldn't get married. They had orders. They had abbots, all of that stuff. So maybe that's the case, and I'm using the wrong words. So, Mason, it would actually make sense for you to join our Discord. That's Rick's saying something really good. We have a Discord where people have discussions of this sort and theology and stuff like that. The description and the link to that Discord server is in the description box. So check that out. Speaking of taking the baby out, we have not taken the baby out. I forgot to answer that question. No. Ethiopian Orthodox people just don't take their newborns outside of the house at all until they are to be baptized, or at least that's what is supposed to happen. Yeah, Armenians have this like funky thing where they don't take the baby anywhere for like 40 days. We don't really care. We will take our baby out when we are comfortable with taking our baby out. The part of the issue is that there's quite a bit of people sick now. We've actually had a number of family members who've been sick who hadn't seen the baby until yesterday, which like very close family members. And it's just being wise, right? This is a newborn. But what is your take on the days of creation in Genesis literally being 24-hour days? I don't believe they're literal 24-hour days. I think they couldn't be. But even if I were to think they could be, I wouldn't think that they are in a young Earth sense. So I could see kind of a combination where you get an old Earth and then the actual creation accounts happening in 24-hour days, right? So let's just say 100,000 years is like day one, actual 24 hours, and then like preceded by like 100,000 years, and then day two of creation. And like that's a possible interpretation. I don't necessarily hold to it, but I tend to hold to a older Earth view of the creation account. I also think the creation account is not necessarily meant to be taken literally the way that people think that it should be. I think there's a lot more poetry going on there. I also think that it's a polemic against ancient paganism, Babylonian, Egyptian paganism. I think predominantly that's what's going on. So it's a more polemic view of that, / what is called a framework view. And I've had a scholar on my channel. I've interviewed him on the framework view. So you can go and check that out in the podcast section. We're almost up to 50 podcasts, guys. There's quite a bit of scholarly content on this channel. Like really, really solid scholars I've interviewed on many different subjects. So, yeah, let me check it out. Like, let me know if you need links. Okay, got it. Thank you. There you go, Jerome. Sean, I'm not going to answer this question because it's unnecessary. I like this. Yeah, we never liked taking our babies out when first born. Old ladies always wanted to touch them and stuff.
I didn't want to hurt him, but he made me.
Agree with the colds and other infectious diseases going around which aren't worth the risk. Infectious diseases. I get what you're saying, man. I really do. I guess if it was in the summer, it'd be a little bit different. So, I got the sound bites, bro. I got the sound bites. I mean, my favorite one of my favorite ones is.
This is serious.
And when the atheists make me mad, and it goes, it's the one I just did. But I like this one a lot too.
I have enough experience to handle you.
I do. Guys, just Mason and just generally people, if you are going to ask me a question, I like it that you're putting Q and then asking your question, but also can you tag me? Because once you do, when you go at Apologia Center, then it highlights it for me, and then immediately my attention goes there. What do you think about theistic evolution? Inspiring Philosophy talks about it quite a lot. He does. Talked to Mike Jones about it. We were together in November. Mike holds to it, but I think there's some nuances there. It's not just like a straightforward, I guess, theistic evolution. One of the things that I'm going to do, we're going to have a guest. We're going to have Joshua Swamidas on this channel. And we're going to go through kind of the genetic research. We're going to talk about his personal view and the other views that are out there that could allow for stuff like that, but also a creation account, like an actual creation of individuals, rather than just like naturalistic evolution happening. One of the things I've recently discovered is that within the theistic evolution camp, there are different opinions as to how these things have taken place. And so I'm not an expert on the science of this stuff. I'm a lot more open than I was in previous years to some of these positions. And I think the research is kind of developing and changing and stuff like that. So that's partly why I want to have people on this channel who are experts. Like, it's cool. You know, Josh Swamdas is geneticist and he's written on this, like, knows this stuff, man. So we'll have him on the channel as well. I'm throwing names out there because these are individuals that we've spoken to and they've agreed to come on the channel. We just don't have dates and times that are solidified, which we will in the coming weeks, okay? That's why you got to subscribe to this channel if you're not, and hit that like button. Despite the propaganda, science does not suggest an old Earth. Okay. Do you have some favorite sources to study about justification by faith alone? Book has come to my mind, but before I recommend it, I kind of want to go through the... I read it a long time ago. The contents before I actually recommend it to you. I got to find it first. Let's see. I don't know if this book will actually take you through faith alone kind of stuff, but I definitely would recommend this book in regards to justification if you haven't read it already. This is called The Cross of Christ, written by John Stott. This one's the 20th year anniversary edition. But yeah. I'll recommend that, I guess. That's right. You know what's going up. You know what's going on. No. Not like you know what's up. Yeah, I chopped it up, man. I chopped up that whole like conversation. So I have this.
I have enough experience to handle you.
I have this.
What are you doing? I didn't want to hurt him, but he made me.
I love that one.
This is serious.
And I got a bunch of other ones, but not from there. Which church fathers do you mainly like referencing back to? There isn't a specific church father I like referencing back to, but I really like the Cappadocian fathers. So look up the Cappadocian fathers. I like them. A lot of people, will refer back to Augustine. And there's all sorts of reasons to do those things. But I like the Cappadocians quite a bit. I like Athanasius a lot. I think Athanasius was brilliant. It really depends what we're talking about. Like John Chrysostom, in regards to like the way we do hermeneutics and or biblical studies in modern day, he's a good one. There's quite a bit of his homilies could be found. So there's you can learn a lot of stuff from him. So it really depends. Sounds like Pisabi, but it's not. What's the best Armenian restaurant in LA? Probably a fusion restaurant. It's owned by Armenians. It's owned by Iranian Armenians. It's called Rafi's Place in Glendale, California. If you want like authentic Armenian, just Middle Eastern, I guess, but Armenian/Iranian food, Rafi's Place is the place to go. Just know that when you show up, it's going to be packed. They seat you pretty early, but sometimes like Sundays afternoon, you're probably going to be waiting in line for like 40 minutes to get in. But they will feed you so much food where you will not be able to move. Like it is completely fine for you to order one meal for 2 people there and just split it, and you guys will still be like insanely full. Everything they have there is good. Hey, miss you too, man. What's up, Pat? Does your Bible software work yet? Oh yeah, it's up and running. I just had to open it. That's hilarious. I meant to say science does not suggest a young Earth. I misspoke. Okay, yeah, you spoke badly. Propaganda. Hey, give it up for my man. This is my guy. You guys give it up for Petros, who is my guy. This is Petros. You guys would say Peter. Peter. We call him Petros the Rock. Petros the Rock. The foundation. Petros runs Apologia Center Armenia. So any Armenian content that we put out, and the Armenian YouTube channel, the Armenian Instagram account, Armenian TikTok account is all run by Petros. Phenomenal guy. Knows his stuff very well. What do you know about Black Hebrew Israelites? I saw one of them in Yerevan. You did not see Black Hebrew Israelites in Yerevan. My gosh. Oh, dude. Petros, here's what you're doing. You go in my interviews. You find my interviews with a guy named Vocab Malone. Go subscribe to Vocab's channel. He does ministry specifically in that area. And yeah, learn from him. But you should go check out my interviews with him. I have a number of interviews with him. So let me actually see if I can pull this out for you guys. If you go to youtube.com/Apologia Center, and you go to the playlists. Okay, you go to playlist, and then there's a playlist that says Apologia Center interviews in regards to where in the world you're. Okay? That's interesting. How did that? No introduction there. Okay. We're zooming in. Hang on here. So you zoom in. you will see here, Apologia Center podcast, right? Hebrew Israelites. Number 7. So any interview you see with this man, that's going to help you quite a bit. Thinking about black Hebrew Israelites, dude, just can't believe you saw them in Armenia. That's hilarious because the ones I've met did not know what an Armenian is, and I've been able to use that. But where did those guys come from? That's nuts. You can't go wrong with Rafi's place. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Imago Day 717. What's up? Question. Philippians. Okay, let's open it up. Since I don't have the Bible memorized. Okay? Just hang in there. I got you. Just give me a second. Philippians 1:22. I got this weird cough that just like my throat is. I guess I've done quite a bit of talking this weekend. Cheering as well. Philippians 1:22 to 25 says, Paul seems to be making a choice to either live and preach the gospel or die to be with Jesus. Can he choose? Thoughts? Your question is strange. Maybe the way you worded it. Okay, so let's look at kind of what it says. We'll start with 18. What then? Only that in every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is proclaimed, and in that I rejoice. Yes, and I will rejoice. For I know that through your prayers and the help of the Spirit of Jesus Christ, anybody who doesn't think that Jesus is God has an issue here because now the Holy Spirit is being referred to as a person who's also the Spirit of Jesus. And the help of the Spirit of Jesus Christ, this will turn out for my deliverance. As it is my eager expectation and hope that I will not be at all ashamed, but that with full courage, now as always, Christ will be honored in my body, whether by life or by death. So he's saying whatever it is that may happen to me, whether through my life or through my death, Christ will be honored. That's verse 20 is key here to understanding the text, okay? Verse 21, for to me to live is Christ and to die is gain. If I am to live in the flesh, notice the if there, that's a conditional statement. So if I am to live in the flesh, meaning he might not be, if I am to live in the flesh, that means fruitful labor for me. Okay, so that means I do work and there's fruitful labor that comes out of it. It's beneficial. Yet, which I shall choose, I cannot tell. He's like, it's too difficult, essentially, to make a choice between whether I want to die and be with Christ or to live and do fruitful labor. He says, I'm hard-pressed between the two. Okay? It's a difficult choice. My desire, notice these are desires, not realities, what he sort of wants. He says, my desire is to depart and be with Christ, for that is better, far better, because I get to be with Jesus. But he says, to remain in the flesh is more necessary. So there's a better necessary connection there. On your account, because he gets to do fruitful ministry with them. Convinced of this, I know that I will remain and continue with you all. Okay? Convinced of what? Convinced of this right here, that it's better for you. I'm convinced that if I stay alive, it's better for you. Convinced of this, he says, I know that I will remain and continue with you all for your progress and joy in the faith, so that in me you may have ample cause to glory in Christ Jesus because of my coming to you again. So I think he's not like making a real, like it's not in his decision kind of whether he wants to, he's going to die or live or something like that. I think that's what your question is. I think he's speaking about his desires. He's speaking about the reality of doing ministry. He's speaking about like, hey, I could die at any moment, given his past and what's happened in his life. So to answer your question more succinctly would be, can he choose? No, he cannot choose. He's just putting out his desires and thoughts on the matter. Do they have Choresh? Yes, they do. What do you think about Martin Luther removing 7 books from the Bible? I don't think Martin Luther removed anything from the Bible. I think those are silly arguments, to be frank and honest with you. Go look at Jerome's translation and see if whether Jerome wanted to include any of the books that you're talking about in his translation. Forget Luther in that conversation. Let's not oversimplify things, please. What are your thoughts on Michael Heiser's connection in Genesis 6, 1-4 to Deuteronomy 32, Psalm 82, the whole small g gods thing? There's one God. What's your thoughts? There is one God. Michael Heiser would affirm the one God, monotheism, the Trinity. Michael Heiser was a phenomenal believer. You have to understand Heiser's thinking properly. What are my thoughts on it? I think it's interesting. I've thought about it, I think, enough where I can see those things happening. I have a lot of Old Testament friends that are like, yeah, Michael Heiser's right on this. I think there's room for that. I mean, small g's, whether you want to talk about it like that or you want to talk about it in the sense that he does, which is the sons of God. I see many, many parallels. I would highly recommend people listen to Michael Heiser and his thinking through it. And one of the things that I did that you might want to do is go and find the Naked Bible podcast in your phone, in the podcast section, and then start listening to it from the beginning. Don't jump into Heiser stuff midway through. Start listening to him from the beginning of his podcast, and then also read his books. But I like his thinking on it. Whether I agree with it or not, I'm not sure. But it's consistent, and it answers a number of questions that, at least in my mind, don't get answered from different perspectives. Rick sent me a soundbite in my Discord DM. I like it. Yes. Yes, I'm going to use it. Here it is. I just got to add it to this. Come on, load.
Princess Leonor of Spain turned
That's not it.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
One of my favorite movies of all time is The Princess Bride. There's sound bites in there. I'm gonna rip a number out. So thanks for that recommendation, Rick. Appreciate it. Jerome says, what does the God of this age in 2 Corinthians 4:4 mean? I think that's a reference to Satan. 2 Corinthians 4:4, the God of this age has blinded the world, right? That's the passage? Yeah. So there it is. It's highlighted in my Bible. So Jerome says, what does the God of this age in second? So in their case, the God of this world has blinded their minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. That's a reference to Satan. That's what that means. I've had people tell me that it's metaphorical, but other people tell me that it's just Satan outright. I don't know how, like, metaphorical in what sense. I mean, the word God could be used in various ways, right? Like, so in English, we translate this as, it's still theos in the Greek. It's just lowercase. The context tells us that this is not God, the God of this world. Satan has quite a bit of dominion and operational rights that have been given to him by God. How would that be metaphorical? I don't know. I mean, so the context here has to do with, he says, so verse 1, therefore having this ministry by the mercy of God, we do not lose heart, but we have renounced disgraceful, underhanded ways. We refuse to practice cunning or to tamper with God's word. But by the open statement of truth, we would commend ourselves to everyone's conscience in the sight of God. And even if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled for those who are perishing, which is these people who are perishing. And then he says, this is the reason why they're perishing is because they've been blinded by the God of this world. And so, yeah, it seems like that's a reference to Satan. Let me actually look up some stuff in the commentary here. I don't want to miss anything. So the commentary says the gospel was rejected by people who were unable and unwilling to accept it. They disbelieved and were abetted in their unbelief by Satan, the god of this age. Ephesians 2:2 is the parallel passage. It says, in which you once walked, or we once walked, following the course of this world, following the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience. And that's a reference to Satan as well. And yeah, so you might want to compare that to Ephesians 2:2, Jerome. Have you been to the Armenian Quarter in Jerusalem? No, I've never been to Jerusalem. When and if I go to Jerusalem, I will go to the Armenian Quarter. It has me really curious because the whole Babylon thing, 70 nations. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, you got to listen to Michael Heiser. I explain those things. I'm not an expert on Heiser's theology and thinking, but there's plenty of stuff that he put out there. And the ministry put out there before his passing, which is great that you can have access to and learn quite a bit about. I recall you recommended Heiser's teaching of Acts. I did. It's really, really good. Really, really good. Hey, what's up, David? Pastor David, how you doing? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, what's going on? Is it rain, cats, and frogs outside? Hey, Mr. Pisabi!
This is serious.
How you doing? Haven't seen you for a long time. Hope all is well and you're enjoying the rain. I hope it reminds you of home. I think Michael Heiser's disagreement with conservative Christian scholarships are incorrect. It's a rather technical matter to assess with deep roots in academic discourse. I wouldn't just frankly say he's got a disagreement with conservative Christian scholarship. There's conservative Christian scholars who would agree with him on a number of things. Well then, that's what I thought. Some guy pulled out a translation that says Satan in it, and then literally everyone else said that no other translation has Satan in it, therefore it's not him. I wonder what translation that was. My guess would be it's the message translation, which is not a translation. It's a paraphrase for little children. So let me see. Like 2 Corinthians 4. 2 Corinthians 4:4. If our message is obscure to anyone, it's not because we're holding back in any way. No, it's because these other people are looking for going wrong. We refuse serious attentions. All eyes. I stand corrected. It's not the message. I wonder if it's the NLT. I would suppose any that translation would have been a paraphrase, and there's no way that would be really a yes. It's the NLT. What can I say? It's either the message or the NLT. Why would I think that? Let me just explain to you, because I think these are the sort of things that I do, and then like you can do this. It's not in the original text. Why would anyone in their rightful mind put Satan in there? Because they're writing a paraphrase, not a translation. That's why. That's the way I went about figuring this out. So in the NLT, it says verse 3, if the good news we preach is hidden behind a veil, it is hidden only from people who are perishing. Satan, who is the god of this world, has blinded the minds. So it's a paraphrase. The NLT is a paraphrase. I know it's called a translation. It's not. It's a paraphrase. It's not in the original, but because it's a paraphrase, I mean, I would allow it. It's just giving you a qualifier. Bart Ehrman can answer all your questions, except the one of whether there's a God or not. He's wrong on that, my guy. Oh, you just, okay. I am voting for Donald Trump for United States Reis Jambur. Reis Jambur, is that like the chief? Reis, that's an Arabic word that you're using, Mr. Pisambi. That's a good one. I like that. So Donald Trump made a bunch of people drop out of the Republican primaries, folks, if you haven't been paying attention to that. Would love to see Apologia Center host a Pisabi live Q&A session. We've done that, man. We've done plenty of that. He's been in the office. We've become really close friends. He's even come to a Bible study at our church. There's many, many good things happening in the life of Mr. Pisabi. Sean said, Satan is blinding me too. No, Sean, it seems like you're blinding yourself. Reis Jambur, Reis means like chief in Arabic, like boss. So I don't know what the literal translation of Reis Jambur is. Maybe Mr. Pisabi can tell us what that means. I had a feeling that it would be paraphrase of sorts, but it being the only visible translation that says Satan threw me off entirely. That's okay. That's why we're here, man. That's why we're here. Too many people blame Satan for stuff. Sean, don't do it. No, I'm on a roll today. This is a good Monday. Let's go. Hey, I haven't even turned on the Discord. I'm totally gonna like quote mine, The Princess Bride, because there's so many good lines in there. Like, everybody knows you shouldn't get involved in a land warfare in China or Asia, I think he says. Or the other one, like where he says something like, and everybody knows Australians are criminals. I like that one quite a bit. So many good lines. Rain or shine, baby. Rain or shine. Let's go. Let's go. Apologia Center, are you ready for round 2? I've got a few things here to ask about. Sure. Can I turn on the voice chat and you guys can jump in there if those questions are going to be of that sort? Voice chat is up, folks. If you want to jump in there, do so. It might just be easier, for that sort of conversations. It is mean president. Reis Jambur means president. Okay, thank you, Mr. Pisabi. Man, you're killing me. How did the Nephilim survive the flood? Ooh, I just saw that. Right Response Ministries. Oh, that's 2 months ago. It's not new. Before I do, I think it's cool that I can read the New Testament. I think it's cool that you can read the New Testament too. Not touch it for a while, and then by merely being in the presence of Bible discussions, more things to ask about that you didn't think of show up. I think that's super cool, dude. Look, here's what I think that means. Okay, get ready. Are you ready for this? I have a word for you. Are you ready for this? Type in 1 if you're ready for this. Some people do that stuff. Oh, man, it bothers me so much. It's so annoying. I think that's because you're an attentive reader, Jerome. You might have not even realized that you're reading and actually learning quite a bit of stuff. But the fact that you look, man, props to you that you took a very large quantity of text and information and went through it pretty quickly. And I think it's taking time to resonate, and you're like, oh, wow, I remember that. Okay, cool. I want to think through that. But that's phenomenal. Really, really cool. That also means that you're probably a very good reader, which is great. On that note, I should add that my son just finished the 5th Harry Potter book. That was 800 pages. My 9-year-old just read an 800-page book. You have no excuse as an adult to not read. I mean, I don't even know how many the other ones. I know one of the books was 700 pages. He's probably read more than 4,000 pages in a couple of months. He's 9. Get off your butt and do some reading. Apologia Center, if Jerome comes on VC, will you ask him the question I asked about what the most surprising thing he's learned so far is? I can ask him that since you're telling me here. I love it. Okay, thank you for that. 10 best quotes from The Princess Bride. Oh man, I'm gonna have a field day with that. What does this question have to do with anything? What about brain damage and attention disorder? What about dyslexia? My brother has dyslexia. What about it? He still reads the Bible. He listens to it on audio. He finds ways to get information. Why is it that immediately the excuse is people that might have some learning disabilities, where a vast majority of people don't read and study because they're just lazy and undisciplined? Like, why is it that your immediate attention goes to the fringe population that has a legitimate reason for not reading, let's just say, who tend to be very hardworking individuals, and if they didn't have those issues, would be reading like crazy, and we just don't want to talk about how lazy people are and how undisciplined they are when it comes to inputting information into their lives, whether it's reading the Bible or various books. I mean, praise God that we have audiobooks. Like, nobody has an excuse. Really, like even people who might have a learning disability, there are ways you can input this information or any information. You find most books in audiobook nowadays. A free audiobook app called LibriVox is great. It's in the public domain. Take advantage of it and use it. I have the app downloaded, but I also have Audible. Yeah, like so with my son, we've also, with my kids, not just my son, we've also been listening to the Silmarillion, written by J.R.R. Tolkien. And the reason why we've been doing that is because is because the Silmarillion on Audible is being read by Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis, who is Armenian, by the way. You're welcome, world. We gave you Gollum and a bunch of other really cool characters he's done. He reads it obviously way better animated voice than I, and so it's a lot better for us to listen to it because he does different voices and stuff like that. Really, really cool. No, it's just I was asking the question as to why your immediate thought goes to people who might have issues as opposed to everybody else. Yeah, the question stands as to, like, let's just say we got how many people in here? We got 17 people in here. Out of the 17 people, how many people in here would actually have like a learning disability? We got 19 people in here now. Something's happening. Like, I don't know. Like, you can do the percentage, bro. Like, in all respect. When I say stuff like that, yeah, I'm not immediately thinking about that. People who have legitimate reasons. People who have legitimate reasons, like my brother, we can deal with it. Trust me. We can guide them in all sorts of proper directions. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying my 9-year-old reads a lot. And then I know 17-year-olds who don't have any issues, who just like say things like, I don't want to read. Or 32-year-olds, I don't want to read. Too bad. Learn. Is there such this as mental illness? If naturalism were to be true without assuming it, how does a naturalist justify an ideal if our brains were not designed? I think that's a weak argument, Justin. I think they could say that, nature had its way and there's a normal, proper function to it of some sort. and that compared to kind of the norm, it doesn't work. I don't think that's a strong argument, brother. With all due respect. I can't use audio alone. I have to literally read along with the audio. I do that too. I actually enjoy it. This is partly why I like LibriVox. As a matter of fact, I read all of Plato's stuff using LibriVox, and finding the free versions of the stuff written and then listening to it and then reading it. It helped me quite a bit. The last time this past year, I read Greg Koukos' Tactics. I did the same thing. I listened to it and read it at the same time. It keeps my attention properly. So yeah. Jerome got a question. Matthew 12. Hey, welcome, folks. If you're joining us for the first time, drop a comment. Tell us what's going on. How you doing? Welcome to the Apologia Center. Is Matthew 12, 43 to 45 just a description of how demonic possession works? I haven't looked at the text, but my immediate answer to that question is no. It's probably not just a description of how demonic possession works. I'm assuming that the house there is talking about the possessed person, but there is not much gathering. So let's look at it. Matthew 12, 43 to 45. Okay, so when the unclean spirit has gone out of a person, it passes through a waterless place, seeking to rest but finds none. Then it says, I will return to my house. That's the person, it seems like, by the way, from which I came. And when it comes, it finds the house empty, swept, and put in order. Then it goes and brings with it 7 other spirits, more evil than itself, and they enter and dwell there. And the last state of the person is worse than the first. So also will it be with this evil generation? Did you notice that? Isn't that interesting? Now, if this is just about demonic possession, why would the conclusion to Jesus teaching you this be so also, let's read it backwards, I guess. So also will it be with this evil generation. So also, what will be with this evil generation? Right here, that the last state of the, let's say, instead of the person, put generation there. So the last state of the generation will be worse than its first state. Right. Now, again, I haven't done quite a bit of studies on this passage, so I'm very rusty on it to give you a clear-cut answer. So I'm going to use my commentary a little bit. But I think at the very least, these last 2 lines are going to tell you that Jesus' teaching here is a lot more about how bad it's going to be for the generation rather than some kind of a breakdown of demonic possession. So let's look at the commentary here, okay? So it says, this generation of sign seekers stood condemned in the final judgment. So let's go back. Let's see. No. Okay. Sorry for doing that. This generation of sign seekers stood condemned in the final judgment to show what their condition on earth would be if they perished in unbelief. Jesus compared them to a man who had found deliverance from a demon, evil spirit, perhaps through a Jewish exorcist. After this man was delivered, he tried by every natural means to clean up his life and set things in order. but mere religion is never effective, so the man lacked a supernatural conversion. Consequently, he was subject to possession again, with more serious ramification. Instead of one demon possessing him, now there's 7 other spirits that possess him, so on and so forth. Here's what I would say. It seems to me that Jesus is taking a culturally held belief about what demonic possession looked like and how demons operated. Like, for example, the demon passes through a waterless place. That's very interesting. Like a place with drought. Okay. This is partly why culturally we know this to be the case, why people thought demons like lived in the desert, in the wilderness, sort of. So that's the ideology, like that's their home. This is why Jesus gets tempted in the wilderness. It doesn't find any rest because there's nothing to inhabit, and then comes back. But I think this teaching is actually just about the generation having a worse end, and then is included with a bunch of cultural things that people believed about demonic possession back then. Is that true or not? I don't see any of this teaching in the rest of the New Testament to know, oh, they go, they come back, X, Y, and Z. And then the concluding remarks makes me think that this is not some kind of an explanation of how demonic possessions work. D.W. Conley, 2003, welcome. Thanks for being here. DW says, I've been subscribed for a while, a little bit, but this is, I think, my first live joining y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the second person today whose first time it is here. Thanks for the subscription, brother. And I am glad you're here and with us. So, praise God. Thank you. Folks, I should also say that the Patreon Bible studies are now going to be offered to anyone, but you do have to be a follower on Patreon. Now, you could be a follower on Patreon without having to financially commit. It's just like all the links and stuff like that are going to be on Patreon. So make sure you go to our Patreon page, whether you want to support us financially. We would love that, obviously, but you don't necessarily have to in order for you to reap the benefits of some of the stuff that we offered there as well. So if what we're doing is really benefiting you, support us on Patreon. If not, just follow us on Patreon as well. If you want to have Bible studies with me, definitely go follow us on Patreon, because I've made all the videos live for everyone in regards to the book of Ecclesiastes. And we're going through the book of Ecclesiastes, and that's a Bible study over Zoom that you can just join us for. So make sure you do that. What's up, Arnold? How you doing? Hey, have you not streamed in a while, or is it not popping up in my feed? I have not streamed in a while. That's what's going on there, bud. It's a question: if your brain isn't designed, if there is no ultimate purpose, how does naturalism justify how the brain ought to be? So here's what I would say. It wouldn't, I get what you're saying, and I think this is some kind of, like there's a connection there here to Alvin Plantinga's argument, but I think the better way to put it, Justin, is why is it that we are so hardwired to seek truth? So there's nothing really about, it's not necessarily about like how our brains are working. So if somebody, let's just say, falls down, hits their head and has some issues, and then their brain works incorrectly, that's a mechanical issue that you can be a naturalist and you give an easy answer for. What I think the naturalist has a hard time giving an answer for has to do with why are we hardwired to seek truth rather than falsehood? Not rather than falsehood, but why are we so hardwired to seek truth rather than like what is advantageous for our existence? Because sometimes truth actually stunts things, and it would be more advantageous for our existence to lie and cheat and steal and X, Y, and Z. Demon possession is just mental health problems. No, mental health problems are mental health problems. Demon possession is demon possession. That's fine, Jerome. We can talk about that. Man, I am at the bottom of all the questions. Caught up. Woohoo! Let's do this. But what about that sweater? Has anything crazy happened in the internet world? I'm not sure I understand the comments you made about lying, cheating, and stealing. Okay, so I will repeat it. We seem to be hardwired to prefer to seek truth rather than advantageous things, like for our survival. The question is, biologically speaking, evolutionarily speaking, if evolution is teaching us that, naturalistic evolution is teaching us that we are, our evolution goes in such a way where we evolve to where it's what's advantageous to human flourishing or propagation or something like that, right? Truth wouldn't be the thing that would be built into that. It would be what is advantageous for human existence. And as a matter of fact, a lot of the times, what would be more advantageous for human existence would be to not seek after truth. And what I did is I added the caveat there of lying, cheating, and stealing. That's what would be advantageous in those circumstances. So again, if you have or have not, go check out Alvin Plantinga's argument on, I forget what it's titled. If anybody remembers what the title of that paper that he wrote is, drop it in the comments. This is obviously a political comment, but DeSantis dropped out is pretty interesting. I think it is. I think Trump might have told him, hey, you got the VP pick, but drop out. Because truth leads to survival more. Does it now? Really? Oh, man. Go check out the literature on that, my guy. It seems to me that it's more advantageous to club the guy next to you over the head and kill him and take his woman. Okay. There you go. Evolutionary argument against naturalism. Thank you, Arnold. That's by Alvin Plantinga. Okay. So we can pull up the actual paper. I'm just typing without anything happening.
endorsed view, sometimes called naturalism, for how human beings came to have the range of features
Okay, let's check out this video, I guess. It's like a little animated video they made about Plantinga's arguments. This is from the Center for Philosophy of Religion.
The Center for Philosophy of Religion presents the evolutionary argument against naturalism. A widely endorsed view, sometimes called naturalism, is the belief that there is no God and that human beings, like everything else, are material things. Naturalism typically goes hand in hand with evolutionary theory, a theory which offers explanations for how human beings came to have the range of features and abilities that they now enjoy. Alvin Plantinga believes it is a mistake to accept both naturalism and evolution together. Maybe both could turn out to be true, but combining belief in evolutionary theory with belief in naturalism leaves one in a pretty tough spot. For when those beliefs work together, Plantinga argues, they should yield the further belief that we don't know much of anything about ourselves or the world. Here's why. According to evolutionary theory, random genetic variation and natural selection are responsible for the current features of our species, including what goes on in our brains, which in turn causes our everyday behavior. And if human beings are just material things, what happens in our brains and physical surroundings also causes us to have the beliefs we have. These evolutionary processes enhance the fitness of certain creatures, leading to the reproduction and survival over others. But the truth of our beliefs in this process plays much less of a role than we might think. First, note that even if beliefs generated behavior, they need not be true to lead to survival and reproduction. You're truly believing poking a bear will get you mauled, or you're falsely believing poking a bear will get you abducted by aliens, both lead to the same kinds of action and will help you live to see another day. But second, argues Plantinga, on this combined picture, our beliefs aren't even partially involved in generating our behavior. And so there doesn't seem to be much of a reason to think they are any more likely to be true than false. And since naturalism doesn't allow any room for a God who has designed our faculties, it then wouldn't be very likely that the ways in which we form beliefs are reliable. And if we come to believe that all the ways we form beliefs, by using memory, reason, perception, or any of our other cognitive faculties are not reliable, then we have a reason which undercuts every belief that we form by way of these cognitive faculties. And that includes absolutely all of our beliefs. Consequently, despite appearances, evolutionary theory and naturalism are not very good bedfellows. The person who believes both theories has a reason to doubt all his beliefs, including his belief in both evolutionary theory and naturalism. Instead, Plantinga maintains, evolutionary theory has a much better friend in theism. And that observation is one of the strongest reasons Plantinga uses to argue that science is in deep conflict with naturalism, but in deep agreement with religion.
That video was for Sean.
To learn more about these ideas, please visit
That was for Sean right there, because he always talks about how faith and science don't go together and stuff. So, or evolution and science. There you go, Sean. You want to hold to evolution, you got to become a theist at the very least. It'll do a lot better for you. Hello, Maria. How you doing? Justin, I think I do understand what you're saying, as Arnold's saying. For example, a car is designed to function X way because it's designed by an intelligence to be a certain way, to function, to drive, so on and so forth. If something goes wrong with the engine we can say something is wrong. Yeah. I get your argument. Okay. What I'm saying is someone can, maybe they might change the way they speak about it. Maybe instead of saying something is wrong, they could say it just doesn't work properly, or it doesn't work the way it's supposed to work, without necessarily saying there's a intention or design behind it or something like that. We are doing well. There's a number of us here on Twitch and YouTube. Okay, let's see. I don't believe in evolution at all. Okay. You don't have to. Mason, have you spent much time reading the Reformers as Luther's works or Calvin? If so, what's been the most edifying that you have to share? So, no. Let me just frankly just answer your question. No. I should say this, Mason, because I didn't know it was your first time on this channel. But, so my strengths tend to be more in regards to the literature of the Bible, philosophy, and like church history, rather than theological developments of the Reformation and so on and so forth. Right. Like, obviously I have an interest in that. I've read a number of things, but I wouldn't be able just to immediately kind of pull that stuff up. I know what my weaknesses are and where I've spent time and haven't. Especially for those of you guys who are on this channel for the first time, just to know where I'm at. So there you go, guys. That's a very good example of me not being able to answer questions. Mason's been on it today. Again, I'd recommended Gavin Ortland's channel. Gavin's really good at that stuff. One of the things that I try to do is bring on scholars on my channel to interview them in those areas where those aren't my strengths. If you're interested, you could look up the fitness beats truth theorem. Okay. Maria says, I'm reformed. Great. Delusion can help with survival sometimes. Okay. Maria, by the way, talking about science and religion, the actual creator of the Big Bang Theory was religious. Correct. He was a Catholic monk. Catholic priest, not monk. Yes, I think this is pretty common knowledge. Sorry, I was trying to keep up with some texts. What's up, Alan? How you doing? Um, sorry, guys. There's lots of text coming in. I gotta respond to. The time sensitive. Okay. I probably should have asked about this ages ago, but I have no idea what's going on in Mark chapter 2, verses 18 to 22. I can't tell what's being said, especially when I read the last line. Man, I'm having a good day today. You guys are making my day, man. I haven't streamed. I missed you guys quite a bit. Jerome, man, I miss you, dude. Thank you for your questions. You're a cool dude. And it's nice to kind of have some normalcy into my life as well. Hey, Lenny, stop with the weirdo stuff, man. ASMR. Stop it. Okay. DW says, seems like 37% of the folks in the chat are holding back on you, bro. Seems like it. Hey, 37%. Get off your butts and do something. Goat impression of me? Yeah, that's exactly how Jerome sounds. Miss me? Yeah, Sean, I even miss you, dude. Even you. You know why, Sean? Because Jesus has put a special love in my heart for people. That's just the truth of it, man. That's the reality of it. You might not think he... Well, you got like weird beliefs, dude. Like seriously weird beliefs about Jesus. But nonetheless, you are loved, my friend. Rick's like, where did your wife get that Under Armour sweater? Under the Armour sweater. Label info cost. Cheers. You know what, guys? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to take a picture of myself, send it to my wife, ask her where she bought this from, and then let you guys know. If she's in the chat, I don't know, she might be. She usually doesn't watch any of my streams. She probably hears my voice too much to be like, I'm not going to hear this guy. Let's see if she'll send it. I haven't answered your question because, Jerome, hang on. Don't be in such a rush, my guy. Okay, let's go to Jerome's question. Here it is. Mark chapter 2, verses 18 to, 22? Yeah. He doesn't know what's going on. Let's see. I feel like I'll get a plus 33 faith ice fire damage with that sweat. You guys are such nerds, man. Lord have mercy. Oh, gosh. My wife says... Dude, my wife is savage. Oh, my wife is savage, guys. Okay, hang on, Joel. We'll come back to you, man. Chill. She is hilarious. She said they can place an order with you. I'm not giving my secrets away. How did this come? Where did you come from, man? So she literally didn't tell me. I have no idea. Let me just ask her how much it is. My wife is trying to like make money on you guys. She's probably gonna like upcharge you for like, probably like upcharge you $10 for the work she's gonna do. If it's like a $25 sweater or whatever like that, she's gonna be like $35, and then we'll ship it to you. She's a character. That's why I married her. She's smart like that. Rick said, nice. How much? I'm waiting for an answer, man. Well, no, I mean, we got to tell people how much it is. You can't just randomly. Come on now, Jerome. She's not listening. I'm texting her. No, man, she's got a baby to take care of. New baby to feed. That's good. Still waiting for a response. Okay, until she responds. Jerome's question. Jerome, here it comes. Now, John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting. That's John the Baptist. And people came and said to him, why do John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast? Okay, so there's a question. John's disciples, the Pharisees, are fasting, but it seems like there's a specific way they're fasting, like they're fasting in accordance with their traditional views. And Jesus' disciples aren't following that stuff. Let me see. The Old Testament prescribes fasting for all Jews only on the annual Day of Atonement as an act of repentance, but the Pharisees promoted voluntary fasts on every Monday and Thursday. So the Pharisees have a fast on Mondays and Thursdays as an act of piety in response to a critical inquiry. Jesus showed the incongruity of fasting for his disciples. So the question is, why aren't they fasting in accordance to these rules that have been set up? And Jesus said, verse 19, can the wedding guests fast while the bridegroom is with them? The idea here is that Jesus is the bridegroom and the wedding guests are the disciples. As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast, because fasting is meant to be a more solemn sort of thing, not a let's dance and party. The days will come, he says, when the bridegroom is taken away from them. Obviously, we are in those days because Jesus died and resurrected, been taken away from us. And they will fast in that day. Let me put this on silent. Forgot to do that. And so he says the day will come, they will fast. Now is not the time. Now I'm with them. They don't have to fast like everybody else is fasting. And then he says, no one sews a piece of unshrunk no one sews a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old garment. So he's giving an advantage. So if you have an old garment, you don't do this. If he does, the patch tears away from it. So it's ruined. The new from the old, and a worse tear is made. And no one puts new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the wine will burst because it expands. The fermentation process, and the wine is destroyed, and so are the skins, but new wine is for fresh wineskins. So he gives an answer and gives two analogies. Okay, let's break that down. The answer is they don't have to fast because I'm here with them, but they will fast when I'm not with them. And the two analogies he gives is essentially against traditionalism. What he says is, there's a new way things are being done, and they have to be understood within the new context, not the old context. And that's why he gives the analogy about the unshrunk cloth with old garments and new wine and old wine skins. Okay? Essentially what Jesus is saying is there's a new way God is doing things, and it's got to be understood in the new context. And you can't understand the new way God is doing things within the context of old things. You'll mess it all up. The Pharisees are operating on this old system, this actually man-made system as well, that they have these fast days, Mondays and Thursdays, and they don't get why Jesus' disciples are not fasting the way like traditionalist religious leaders have their students fast. And Jesus saying, there's a different sort of thing that's happening here, guys. You got to understand this properly. Thanks for the question. Let me, Lauren, we'll get to you, by the way. My wife is responding here. Let's play a game. Let's guess how much she paid for this. Let's just play a game, how much she paid for this, or what the price is. Before I jump into the other questions. Lauren said $65. No, this is the actual price. $30. It looks like $100 sweater. Diana, wow. Sean says it's on Temu. You can find it for $30. Okay. In other words, how much she's charging? No. It's not how much she's charging. She told me how much it actually cost. $130 retail, but she paid $40. Arnold knows my wife. That's not the price, but he knows how she shops. That looks like Armenian mithril sweater. Oh, I love the dude.
This is serious.
Did you see the working in of the Armenian and the Lord of the Rings and just like I'd say 40 through Lembas. You guys are bad. Okay, so she told me that it's $12. Now you guys are all gonna lose your minds. $7,000. I'm favoriting questions that I'll come back to, by the way. I know there's a question that came in from Nicholas on Twitch as well. Okay, there we go. I'm sure she'll tell us where she got it from and stuff like that. So Sean wins, I guess. But I don't know where she got it from. Okay, moving on. Here's a question that's come in. Or yeah, so hello, Nicholas. How you doing? The words are different. Used are different. But do you see a parallel between Matthew 7:23 and Job 8:18? So, Matthew 7:23 says, Matthew 7:23 says the following, and then will I declare to them, I never knew you, depart from you, you workers of lawlessness. Now, again, let's read the context because it matters. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do many mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness or iniquity. And then Job 8:18. So Job 8:18 says, if, let's go back a little bit, start from 17. His roots, actually, let's go back more. What is he talking about here? Then Bildad the Shuhite answered and said, how long will you say these things, and the words of your mouth be a great wind? You're blowing out hot air. I love it. Does God prevent justice, or does the Almighty prevent the right? So on and so forth. Okay, so he's talking about God. Does Bildad is speaking here? What a name, Bildad. The he here, I think, is God. His confidence is severed, and his trust is a spider's web. No. He is a lush plant before the sun, and his shoots spread over the garden. His roots entwine the stone heap. He looks upon the house of stones. If he is destroyed from his place, then it will deny him, saying, I have never seen you. The context matters here quite a bit, okay? So God doesn't prevent justice. If your children have sinned against him, he has delivered them into the hand of their transgression. If you will seek God and plead with the Almighty for mercy, if you are pure and upright, surely then he will rouse himself for you and restore your rightful habitation. By the way, Bildad is like completely wrong in his whole theology here. papyrus grow while yet the flower cut down. I love the poetry. While yet the flower in flower not cut down. Such are the paths of all who forget God. Okay, this is a person. Okay, so such are the people who forget God. The hope of the godless shall perish. His confidence is severed. So he leans against his house, but it does not stand. This is the individual who forgets God. And so if he is destroyed, the individual who forgets God, that's the context. If he is destroyed from his place, then it will deny him, saying, I have never seen you. Yeah, I mean, contextually, it seems like you have a pretty good parallel passage in the sense that both the Matthew passage and the Job passage are talking about people who are not believers or who've forgotten God or something like that. We can use Ephesians 2:20 to strengthen the rock parallel. I don't know what rock parallel you're thinking about here. So Nicholas, if there's some things. So overall, Nicholas, what I would say to you is I think this is like here's as far as I will go with this passage. Ephesians 2:20 talks about Jesus being the cornerstone and the apostles. I think that why does this keep coming up? So I think, Nicholas, if you're trying to create some kind of an allegory between these things, I think that would be contextually incorrect. But if you're trying to talk about kind of the like being forgotten or I never knew you kind of parallel, I think that's fine. You can do that. Beyond that, I would say it's problematic to bring this kind of an analogy together, like Jesus being the cornerstone. Because look, like you can find something with Jesus being the cornerstone, but you can also find something like Jesus being a door. Like, so analogies are just that. They're contextual analogies. And it should always be the case where we understand an analogy within its immediate context and try not to go all over the place in the Bible, because you might find similar things being used differently in those other places. Okay? Just be very careful. I know preachers love doing this. I just think they're highly problematic. Yeah, so be very careful not to make like word study fallacies, okay? So I think it's fair, especially since the rocks here are lithos and the language in Matthew is different. It doesn't matter. Even if it's the same word, that could be a word study fallacy. Just because the same word is used doesn't mean it's the same meaning. Words have multiple meaning. Like, for example, I'll give you an example in the New Testament. The word logos in the New Testament is used in multiple ways. So the context will tell you what the word is. The other thing is that I think you're looking at the Septuagint, right? So if you're looking at the rocks, lithos, if that's the Greek, I think that's the Greek. And it's not the original Hebrew. So you can't make that kind of a parallel because you're still not the original. Like, so the Matthew is the Greek and the original is in Greek. And Job is not, but you're looking at a Greek translation of it in the Septuagint. So I would say, again, let the parallels be enough. If, again, forgotten is not remembering. Like, I think those are pretty good observations. Beyond that, I wouldn't do it. One of my pet peeves, kind of, is just things I don't like, is people finding analogies in places that don't exist and then like contextually just jacking stuff up like crazy. So, thanks for your input. Hey, thanks for the question, Nicholas. I appreciate it, man. We've been on for 2 hours and 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so my wife just is not revealing her secrets. She said the sweater is $12. Again, if we like get it and I don't know, buy it and order it and then send it to you. I don't know. I gotta talk to her. If you're interested in it, just send me a message and I'll talk to her about how to get that to you for the least amount of cost. Okay, I gotta go in like 2 minutes. I gotta go get my kids. So, Bill, it's not Bill Bad, it's Bill Dad. Bill Dad is when Bilbo used the ring, I guess. No, too much. Don't do stuff like that. Jerome asked a question. Let me answer that and then head out if it's not too much. Or David asked a question. Let me favorite it. Okay, David had a question that said, Apologia Center question: in light of the culture today, what is the biggest threat to Christianity or the church, in your opinion? Theological liberalism. Yeah, definitely to the church. The biggest threat is internal theological liberals coming from within the church and corrupting the actual teaching of the Bible. It's always been the case. Heretics. Heretics have always been a threat to the church. There it is. Lawrence said Matthew was Greek or translated from Hebrew to Greek. I don't know that Matthew knew Greek. Cool info. We have no evidence that Matthew wrote his gospel in in Aramaic or Hebrew and then translated it. The best evidence we have is that the original is in Greek. It makes sense. It seems like Matthew was pretty intelligent. It also makes sense that Matthew would have been able to write Greek, like he would have learned Greek. I think Peter writes in Greek and he knows Greek. I think Jesus knew Greek. That's my personal opinion. And a number of scholars actually think that. It would be really weird to think that Jesus at least didn't know some Greek, considering Greek was it was the language of the times, kind of like English is the language of the times. So, Jerome says, I'm pretty much asking why fast though. I feel like I should have known this ages ago. Low level is probably accurate. Why fast? Fasting is a discipline that we do in order to rely on God. And so we fast from things that we have a high kind of dependence on when it comes to food. And you're bothered when you're not eating. So it is kind of a discipline of the body you do to rely on God and to pray in the midst of that suffering you're going through. It's to teach you discipline and reliance on God, very simply put. That's why we fast. Okay. Hey guys, thank you for hanging out. Appreciate it. It has been a pleasure. Look out for newer videos. Look out for I might take down streams. I'm considering to like do live streams and then take them down after maybe like 5 hours or something, or have those streams taken down here, but it will be on Patreon. And so I haven't made those decisions. Just if you see a stream disappear, that's probably why, because I want to use the content from the streams and I don't want to have all that stuff on. Will the hoodies be back? What do you mean be back? Like, will I be wearing them? Yeah. They're on sale under this video somewhere. We are almost at 5,100 subscribers. That's also really cool. Look out for sweater sales coming out. I don't know about that, man. Hey, appreciate it, DW Conley. Thanks for being here again today. I'm glad to be back. Friday, 5 p.m., we have an interview with Wesley Huff. We're going to be talking about some really, really fun stuff. So make sure you check out to that. And I'm going to try to put out my streams or schedule my streams so everybody knows what's going on. Really appreciate the conversation today. Also, look out for some videos. Look out in the community tab. I'll be sharing some videos that Ruslan will put out this week, our conversations. So from the weekend, hopefully you guys will enjoy that. Take care. God bless you. And I will see you hopefully tomorrow.